And financial freedom is really having enough income that's coming in every month passively, or big enough asset load that's going to pay you to create that ultimate vision. Have you yourself achieved financial freedom, or is that a personal goal of yours?
Yeah. I mean, to be straight up, I achieved it a long time ago. And what I mean by that is it's funny you talk about the number. I wanted to be at $20,000 a week passive cash flow. I want to make $1 million outside of anything I ever did. That was my deal. Like, no matter what I do, $1 million is coming in. And my first venture was real estate. I accumulated, I don't know, hundreds. I give the total number of buildings and how many units that were rental properties. Yeah. And, I learned a lot in that, 5, 6, 7 years. I did a lot of it myself. My property management company was me. When I put them all together to sell them, I had a group come down from New York. I was in Connecticut at the time. And they said, well, where are the management fees? I'm like, you're looking at it. Like, I am the manager, and they're like, well, why do they pay rent? I'm like, well, because I'll throw them out. Like, we just we got good at doing what we did. And, so for me, I achieved it early on. But for me, I wanted other people to achieve it. Like, when I found insurance, I was like, because I couldn't create that for anybody in real estate. I had a good friend of mine that I was trying to do the properties with, but like, he had a job. I loved him. I wanted him to do well. And I just couldn't but I'm like, you have to go out and do your own deal. It's like, for some of y'all that are on, you're like, well, I'm in real estate. I'm like, no, you're paying this idiot on Instagram and YouTube money. I could give you a better rate of return tomorrow in anything. You're not in real estate. Your money goes in his pocket. Like, you have to find a way to build it for you. I'm okay. Now, if you can get me a good rate of return on my money, I'm in. But it's like I like people trying to teach people to build their own passive cash flow.
Well, I think what's so powerful about that is to separate the two, right? You built a business in real estate. You're a business operator in real estate. Your business was managing those assets that created that return. You were the management company. You were the person doing all the work. You were the asset manager. You made all of those individual decisions. Even if you were to hire a property manager, it still came down to you to decide, hey, is this property manager doing what they're supposed to do? Yes, no. Should I fire them? Should I replace them? In that point in time, you were everything, right? So you were out there grinding, working, doing the thing. When you tried to bring a friend in, they wanted the result that came from owning real estate, but they didn't want to put in the work and the effort. And at the time, you didn't have a model that made sense, right? Where you could take their money and they could get the result or the benefit from that. So that makes so much sense. And from that way of thinking, it's impossible for people, if they come into real estate and they are going to go own and manage those properties directly, for them not to be active, right? You've got to do the work, unless you're investing in a fund or a syndication and somebody else is the expert, and they're really the expert. They're not just somebody who's just trying to figure it out and they're using your money to do it, right? You're actually getting that return for writing the check. That's what the richest people do, is they have other people who are hired and they get paid based on success. So from that perspective, I can totally see. So you hit that $20,000 a week number, right? So your number was $1 million a year, $20,000 a week.
When I was like 15 years old, I'm like, dude, I did the math backwards. I'm like, I want to make $1 million a year. I understand what people say when they're worth, but I want to make $1 million. Like, I want to make it in a year passively. And then when I had kids, I was like, I definitely, because that changed my thought process too. Once I had kids, I'm like, dude, now it's not about I want to, I need to. Like, I need that. So I think I was in real estate till 2008. When the market changed, everybody's like, well, you got out because the market crashed. I said, no, be clear. I got out because I wasn't prepared for the market crash. There were people that did very well. I was very much part-time in this thing, still working my job. My little deal worked for me. And then what I did at that time is I was like, okay, you know what? Now I'm going to buy a ton of distressed properties and kind of rebuild my deal up, which I did. But I found life insurance in 2008. And the reason I fell in love with life insurance was I could immediately get people to build their own residual income for me, because, and also you have to love it. Do you love real estate, Stephen? Do you love it?
I love the vehicle of real estate.
There you go.
I love what it does.
And I love the vehicle of life insurance. Yeah, I just do. I fell in love with that vehicle. Number one, I liked being able to do something for people. in middle American markets that made a difference. People are always like, why didn't you want to work in this segment? I'm like, everybody calls you when you have money. Nobody called me when I didn't have money and asked me to help me. But once I made money, everybody from every big brokerage, every big insurance company called me and wanted to be my new friend and help me. I wanted to go where there's more leads and less agents. So that life insurance was that for me. And I started being able to recreate, just like real estate is for what you do and what you're able to do for other people. And that to me, you know, I had a guy say to me the other day, you know, funny, real estate I was 23 years old. This guy, Frank, who's long since dead. He was 80 then. So he's definitely gone. And he said to me, if you're going to be in business, man, I want you to always remember this. I said, okay. So I want you to fast forward. I'm 22 to your 82nd birthday or your funeral, whichever comes first. Okay. That I want you to picture 2 people speaking at your funeral and 3 things they're saying to describe you.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Wow. And he's like, what would those things be? I'm like, that I was selfless, that I was humble, that I was fearless. And he's like, then live it the rest of your life. And I think for me, I always wanted to help people win. So that's what the insurance deals become for me. I mean, I've been in the waste management, you know, talking about taking a chance. I think the thing that's been good for me was like, I decided to launch a waste management company, right? Sounds good, right? Yeah. Sounds good. Let's get a bunch of dumpsters. Let's buy 5 trucks. Let's get 150 dumpsters. And we're 2 months into it. And I'm like, dude, I'm looking at the bills. We ain't making no money. Like, what's going on? Why is why am I paying this much to get rid of to dump? Why is it so much a ton? And then I realized 3 people own every landfill in the state.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait a minute. They don't want me in this business. So I'm like going down trying to negotiate with them backwards. And this guy looked at me and he said, son, did you ever think about doing this before you decided to get in the business? I said, that'd have been a good idea, huh? And it took me months to renegotiate my contracts with them.
Yeah.
I had no cards, but it was a phenomenal business lesson for me. I was excited. I took chances. I still found a way to break even. And then eventually we built it up and sold it. And like, life is good. But I also knew I learned then you need to know who the bigger bear is. And I wasn't the bigger bear in that business. Like, I knew I was small.
That's really powerful. And I want to draw a parallel here for folks who might want to go down a similar path to you, Shawn, where what they're really looking for, right? When they create that ultimate vision and they create that concept of, hey, I want to have money, something that pays me forever. What's powerful about life insurance, which is similar to investing in assets, is that what you're doing is you're going out there, and the asset is the policy that you sell. You get paid some money up front, but you get this residual income that's paid out for the life of that policy. And so you're getting paid that passive income forever, because what you've actually done is you've created a business, and that business, the job of that business is to sell the policy, and the policy protects the client. They want that. And as a result of that policy living on forever, you get that residual as long as it's there. So it's a phenomenal way to take a sales skill and ability and go apply that to go work and build a book of business. And then for you exited, right? You had an exit. And so when you actually exit, you essentially sell that stream, you sell that business down the line, you get paid a bunch of money up front, which now you can then take control and go reapply those dollars to create maybe even a better return, if that's what you want to do, or you never need to go down that reinvestment path with those dollars that you're earning, because you could simply choose to live off of that. So what I'm really curious about is, many, many years ago, you set a vision. I want to talk about the vision you have now versus the vision there. When you were looking at that vision, $1 million a year, 20,000 a week, what was that all for? What was that going to do for you? What was that going to do for your future family? Why were you on this crusade to go out and create 20,000 a week? What was that for?
I really wanted to change the way I thought people looked at my family. I mean, I really just wanted, in my mind, I wanted to change the way that people looked at us. I didn't think money made me anything, but I just thought I wanted people that came after me and my family to know that we can go out and have great success. That was the most important thing. The money, I mean, the stuff, I really didn't have any. When people are like, I wanted this and I want that, I was kind of like, you know, I was like the guy in the Italian, you're young, the Italian Job, where they're like, what do you do with the money? He has no idea.
Movie.
Yeah, great movie. I'm like, that was, I don't know. I didn't even like, that was never for me. That never did it for me. Yes, I wanted to buy my mom a house and like a place to live. And that's been cool. Like, I wanted those. Yeah. But the 20 grand a week, the $1 million was, you know what? Everybody, and you said it earlier in that scarcity deal, everybody that bet against me And school was different back then than it is today. The teachers would have been fired every day for the things they said. Every day. And in today's world, if a male teacher had spoken to me like that, I just would have hit him. Yeah. Back then, like you just listen. They would just say things like, don't dream. And you're not from there. And you guys can't accomplish that. You just need to go get a job. There's no reason. I mean, they told me there's no reason if you go to college. I'm like, dude, I'm smarter than almost everybody in here. Yeah, but you can't afford college. It's just not for you. So for me, I just wanted to change the way everybody looked at, in my mind, my family, for whatever that was worth, and then it really just became an addiction. I'm addicted to, it's funny talking about real estate. I just did a deal 4 days ago and I'm like, isn't it fun? I was talking to the guy that runs my numbers. I'm like, isn't it funny? He works out of my CPA's office. And I talked to my attorney. I'm like, back in the day, I was working literally 400 hours to put one deal together that made me 1/10 of this. And now I'm like, wire the money. My return is greater than my return would have been in 3 years. My money's out. Here's how it's secured. We've done X amount of deals. I'll never see the property. I'll never go to New York City and see the property, and I'll just be paid within 9 months. And that's what I wanted to get to too. I wanted to be the investor. I wanted to be the guy that made a much higher return on my money. And I wanted to get in with the right people, because the problem for a lot of us is when you don't have any, you come from that, every idiot has a new idea and every idiot wants to be in business and every idiot wants your money. And it's like, you're trying to get around the right people, because the right people don't lose as much. They just don't. They don't have to. They get to pick and choose. So I think for me, it's the juice of it. I enjoy it a lot. And I enjoy seeing, I like cutting people in. I'm just like that. I do. I like call my buddy and I'm like, I'm like, dude, you need to get in on this. And he's like, okay. And it's just cool that I know he can throw $500,000 at it and I can get him back, 1.2 in 7 months. And here's what he's going to pay on it. Here's what he'll net on it. And he has like really minimal risk and he didn't really do anything. So I don't know, man, it's pretty cool.
That's exactly it. There's 2 lessons I want people to take away from that. One, the who has the money ends up getting a better deal. The who has the money gets better returns. You get better structure. And when you're investing the way the wealthy invest, you're making 60 or 80% of the profit on that deal. The person who's doing all the work's making 20, right? They're going to do all the work,
making nothing for years.
Right. And so you want to shift yourself to that investor mindset to really be in that position to think, hey, how do I make sure I don't lose any money? And how do I make sure that I have the highest likelihood of getting some great gains? And then how can I do this collaboratively? How can I make sure that my incentives are aligned with everybody, so everybody wins when everybody wins? Such a really, really powerful point. On that vision, it's so inspiring, I believe, to be able to see that your vision was really about, hey, I want to get out of where I'm at. I want to start living a life where other people recognize my worth and value, because it wasn't being recognized growing up, and where I can make an impact for other people. And you've done exactly that. And so anyone who's listening, who's at that point, maybe you feel exactly the way that Shawn felt back then, or maybe you're somewhere in between. Maybe the pain isn't as strong as Shawn's feeling, but you can create that pain by getting really clear on that vision and recognizing what you're going to lose by not going after it. Whether that's hustling harder in your work so that you can create an exit and have a big check come at once, or whether you're going to hustle and start funneling that money to be invested with the right experts, or do the deals yourself if that's really the path you want to go, so that you can actually start creating this life. Because it's possible, because you've done it, I've done it. A lot of my friends are all on this same path who are doing it. And it's a huge takeaway, because I don't know, when I was growing up, maybe you felt like this. I was growing up hearing the exact same thing. You can't do this. You're not smart enough, like you're not going to break out of that world. And for the longest time, it was a chip on my shoulder that was driving me. Right. It was that chip on my shoulder, be like, I'll prove you wrong. Tell me I can't do it, because I'm going to make sure that that I did it once I had done it. There was a shift in my mindset, and I believe you've had the same, just based on the mission that you're on, is that what got me here isn't going to get me to that next level. Because now that I made it, I actually have to create a new motivation. And that motivation is really focused on others, making an impact. For me, that mission is a million people being financially free through investing, right?
Thank you for listening to the Investor Mindset Podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share with a friend. Head over to theinvestormindset.com to join the Insider Club, where we share tools and strategies from the top investors and entrepreneurs on how to take it to the next level.